to the blue set review. Apparently these ones go faster, which is great. And we're going to start with Arcane Subtraction. Arcane Subtraction is 1 in a blue for an instant at common. Target creature gets -4/-0 until end of turn. Learn. So it's like Jace's, whatchamacallit, Scrutiny? Jace's something. Befuddle. It's like Befuddle. Did Befuddle draw a card? I think maybe Befuddle did draw a card. Lipdom, thanks for that follow. Yeah, so it's like that. It's one of those combat tricks that you'll play. It's not amazing. Obviously, it gets more valuable if you do have lessons that you do want to draw. Otherwise, rummaging is not the literal worst, but I'm going to wheel this card. These are my issues with a lot of the learn cards, is there's typically like one learn card per color where I'm like, that's the learn card I want. And then these cards are where I'm like, what if I just don't play lessons and I play better spells? Up next is Arcmage Emeritus. Ugh. Arcmage Emeritus is 2 blue for a creature, human, wizard at rare. It's a 2/2 with Magecraft. Draw a card. This is a Magecraft payoff I like. If you draw a card off of this, this is probably amazing. And then if you draw any more, it's super, super, super good. Does cost 4 mana, does die to Doomblade. I'll pay it. I'll pay it. I like this card. I'll first pick this card. I'll jam myself into Prismari, and I will draw so many cards, and maybe some of them will do things. Up next is Burog Befuddler. Burog Befuddler is 1 in a blue for a creature, frog, wizard at common. It's a 2/1 with flash. When Burog Befuddler enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-0 until end of turn. They keep giving us this card, and they keep tweaking it. And it keeps getting just a little bit worse. Just a little bit worse. This is filler. This is extreme filler. You can pick this up on the wheel. It's a 2/1 for 2, so it's a piker with flash, which is okay. -1/-0 is not that much of a difference. This is probably not going to eat the thing, but it might trade. You can wheel this if you want it. Up next is Breton Books. Breton Books is 4 in a blue for an instant at common. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets an attacking creature. Put target creature into its owner's library second from the top. I like Griptide, or at least I used to like Griptide. It's perhaps not quite as good these days, but it's still decent. I'll pay 5 mana for this. I don't care about paying 5 mana for this. And if I can pay 3 mana for it, cool. But I think it is a 6th through 8th pick. Realistically, you should probably be able to wheel these, I think. But I like bounce, and I want bounce to be good again. I did not care for bounce in Kaldheim. I'm worried that bounce just isn't going to be quite as good. There are tokens that you can hit, which perhaps could put bounce back up a little bit. But I am going to put this like 6th through 8th pick to start. Up next is Curate. Curate is 1 in a blue for an instant at common. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put any number of them into your graveyard and the rest back on the top of your library in any order. Draw a card. Surveil 2, draw a card. No. Yes? Surveil 2, draw a card. Okay. Surveil 2, draw a card for 2 at instant speed. It's on par with like Opt, right? You can wheel this card and you can put it into your deck if you want a little bit of card draw or a little bit of card selection, or you want something to trigger Magecraft, but you can wheel it. Up next is Divide by 0. Divide by 0 is 2 in a blue for an instant at uncommon. Return target spell or permanent with mana value 1 or greater to its owner's hand. So basically everything except the tokens that you really want to bounce. And learn. Does this make bounce something I like? Can't hit tokens, but it's instant speed bounce that draws a card. Hopefully. It can also bounce spells in the stack, also true. Not hitting tokens is exceptionally rough. I might start 4th to 5th pick. It's tough for me to like... I loved bounce, and bounce was so bad in Kaldheim. So it's going to take me some time to really get back on the bounce train. But let's try to get back on the bounce train with 4th, 5th pick here. Let's go 4th, 5th pick for Divide by Zero. And again, we picked this card up. Now I'm much more interested in picking up some lessons once I have this. Up next is Dream Strix. Dream Strix is 2 and a blue for a creature bird illusion at rare. It's a 3/2 flyer. When Dream Strix becomes the target of a spell, sack it. When Dream Strix dies, learn. So 3/2 flyer for 3, cool. I can't target it, that's fine. My opponent can target it with whatever they want and kill it, and then I get to replace it. Seems fine. I'm on like a 2nd, 3rd pick here. It's a little bit of a weaker-ish 2nd, 3rd pick. Like, it's not a bomb by any stretch of the imagination. It's not removal. It's just a utility creature. But I think we can go 2nd, 3rd pick and feel pretty okay with it. Up next is Frost Trickster. Frost Trickster is 2 and a blue for a creature bird wizard at common. It's a 2/2 flyer. When Frost Trickster enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. It's a Frost Lynx with flying. Frost Lynx is now made obsolete. I guess not obsolete because Frost Lynx can't die to plummet. This card should be very good. Frost Lynx was not good last time we saw it compared to where it once was. I suspect this getting flying will be pretty dang good, though, so I'm pretty happy with a 2nd, 3rd pick on Frost Trickster. This might be one of the better commons, I hope. Up next is Ingenious Mastery. Ingenious Mastery is X2 blue for a sorcery at rare. You can pay 2 blue rather than pay the spell's mana cost. If the 2 blue was paid, you draw 3 cards, then an opponent creates 2 treasure tokens and they scry 2. If that cost wasn't paid, you draw X cards. So it's like the worst divination ever because it's 5 mana to be a divination? Why would I pay 5 mana for divination? Why would I pay 6 mana for draw 3? So you play it for 2 and a blue, and I draw 3, and my opponent gets to double ramp and scry 2? And I've probably used up some segment of my turn, if not my turn, and my opponent gets to untap with 2 extra mana that they didn't have, and they know what is on top. I'm on an F. I'm not playing this. F for Ingenious Mastery. Up next is Kelpie Guide. Kelpie Guide is 2 and a blue for a creature beast at uncommon. It's a 2/2. Tap, untap another target permanent you control. Tap, tap target permanent. Activate only if you control 8 or more lands. This card's great. Love this card. It ramps you. Well, you need ramp. Later in the game, it's a tapper. It's a true tapper. I really, 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 really like this card. I think it's a 2nd, 3rd pick. Pretty solid 2nd, 3rd pick here for Kelpie Guide. Up next is Mentor's Guidance. Mentor's Guidance is 2 and a blue for a sorcery at uncommon. When you cast this spell, copy it if you control Planeswalker, Cleric, Druid, Shaman, Warlock, or Wizard. Scry 1, and then draw a card. So opt at sorcery speed, but we're probably, we hope, going to get to do that twice with any subsequent Magecraft abilities. So starting off, I'm going to go 6/8 pick. I think this is format dependent. Much like divination, some formats divination is amazing and some formats divination is unplayable. We'll have to find out if this is fantastic or awful. But I'm going to start 6th through 8th pick on it, and then obviously it goes up when you know you're kind of in this realm, right? When you know you want those Magecraft abilities, when you know you have those creature types, when you know you want to draw cards, etc. Up next is Mercurial Transformation. Mercurial Transformation is 1 and a blue for a sorcery lesson at uncommon. Until end of turn, target non-land permanent loses all abilities and becomes your choice of a blue frog creature with base power and toughness 1/1, or a blue octopus creature with base toughness 4/4. Hell no. This card's bad. This card's super, 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 super awful. It's sorcery speed. 53 commons and uncommons with those creature types. Jesus. This card's awful. This card's so exceptionally bad. Sorcery speed, like, it does literally nothing that you want. I guess you can kill post blocks, but it's still very, very, very bad. Yeah, lessons. Still not swaying me to the lesson side. It's a lesson, so it's free-ish, as long as you pick it up on the wheel. As long as you pick it up on the wheel. It's free in your deck building portion of your day. It is not free as a pick. So wheel this card, and if you wheel it, cool, it's free. But never spend a real pick on this card. Up next is multiple choice. Multiple choice is X and a blue. Sorcery at rare. If X is 1, scry 1, draw a card. If X is 2, you may choose a player. They return a creature you control to its owner's hand. If X is 3, create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. If X is 4 or more, do all of the above. This card's good. You're never casting it for anything less than X is 4. You're also never casting it for anything more than X is 4, which is kind of cool. So 5 mana. Scry 1, draw a card. Your opponent or you chooses a creature. So the worst bounce you've ever seen in your life, as far as your opponent, doing it with your opponent is concerned. So X is 2 really kind of sucks. X is 3, you make your 4/4. So scry 1, draw a card, make a 4/4 for 5 mana seems great to me. That seems very, very, very solid. And, you know, we make my opponent stumble slightly somehow, but they get to choose their creature, which really sucks. And I don't... This is a rare. Why couldn't it have been I pick, right? I see no reason why this couldn't have been I pick at a rare. But yeah, second, third pick, always pay 5 mana. Seems fine. Up next is Pop Quiz. Pop Quiz is 2 and a blue for an instant at common. Draw a card and learn. So here we have Inspiration. No, Inspiration is 4 mana. Here we have Instant Speed Divination. Draw a card and then some way draw a card, whether it be a lesson or rummage. Obviously, the slight downside that if you don't have a lesson to draw and if this is the only card in your hand, you're not rummaging. So you're paying 3 for a think twice. But yeah, I think this is like 6th through 8th pick. You probably don't want to wait for the wheel for these. And again, once you get these, then you go and get yourself your lesson or whatever. Up next is Reject. Reject is 1 and a blue for an instant at common. Counter target creature or planeswalker spell unless its controller pays 3. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. Like me, it's mana weak. This card's awful. Don't play this card. Like 3 only targeting creature. Yeah. I can't bring myself to play a mana leak these days. Wheel this card, probably don't play it. Up next is Resculpt. Resculpt is 1 and a blue for an instant at common. Exile target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. Yeah, wrong format for a creature only counterspell. Again, I'll hammer this point home forever. Remember, there's literally exactly the same number of creatures in Kaldheim as there is in this set. Kaldheim and this set are less than normal. They exist, but that does mean that I don't want to play that card. Yeah, so 1 and a blue for an instant at common. Exile target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. This card's awful. It's like Angelic Ascension, except the creature doesn't fly. Like... I didn't care for Angelic Ascension too much. And this doesn't make a Sarah Angel? Not terribly interested. Pick this up on the wheel if you want to play it. You can make treasures into elementals, but I could also... I have a secret way of turning a treasure into a creature. Don't tell anybody this. You tap the treasure, and you sack it for a mana, and then you tap your lands and you cast a creature. Like, I'm not playing this card. Wheel it if you want to play it. I think it's an F. Up next is Serpentine Curve. Serpentine Curve is 3 and a blue for a sorcery at common. Create a 0/0 green and blue fractal token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is 1 plus the total number of instant sorcery cards you own in exile and in your graveyard. So this card being one of the common ways to make fractals is why I'm a little bit worried about the idea of the fractal deck being a thing. I need this to be a 3/3 before I stop feeling sad. And even if it's a 3/3, I'm a little sad. Which means I need 4 instant and sorcery cards in the graveyard. Not including this one, because it doesn't count this one. So that's 5 instants and sorceries of my 23 playable cards, which leaves 18 spots for additional instant sorceries and creatures. Obviously, I'm not playing 18 creatures in this format. 1 plus? Oh, 1 plus. Okay, so it technically counts itself. So I need 3 cards in the graveyard. Yeah, wheel this card, I think. I think I'm on wheel this card. But how does the fractal deck work otherwise? I don't know. Wheel this card. We'll see how if the fractal deck works and if the fractal deck can really go off. Because the fractal deck requires, like, it requires those mathmancers or whatever they are, and it requires the curves. It requires, like, rares. Yeah, let's wheel the Serpentine Curve. Up next is Snow Day. Snow Day is 4 blue for an instant at uncommon. Tap up to 2 target creatures. Those creatures don't untap during their controller's next untap step. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card. I like this. I don't think it's amazing, but I like it. It reminds me of Run Ashore, and I played Run Ashore. It will functionally do something very similar to Run Ashore, and you draw 2 cards and discard a card. I think this will close some games, and I think I can probably 6th to 8th pick this, or even wheel it, because people massively undervalue tempo swings like this. I think I might pick it like a 4th, 5th pick, but I think you can probably pick it more like 6th through 8th, or perhaps even wheel it. Run Ashore had one of the highest top deck win rate stats of any uncommon in Kaldheim. Probably, but stats are not something that I care about. I will stop talking about that, or that is all that we'll talk about for the next several hours. Up next is Solve the Equation. Solve the Equation is 2 and a blue for a sorcery at uncommon. Search your library for an instant or sorcery card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. No. 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 So like tutors, if you have multiple bomb cards that you want to go get, you can put this in your deck, but you need to have multiples, because if you draw your have we seen a bomb blue spell? If you draw your bomb blue spell, this is now significantly worse. You go and get not a bomb. So don't play this except extraordinarily rare situations, which unless you play this format, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 times, 200 times, you may just not ever have that situation. So F for Solve the Equation for all intents and purposes. Up next is Soothsayer Adept. Soothsayer Adept is 1 and a blue for a creature merfolk wizard at common. It's a 1/3. Pay 1 and a blue, tap, draw a card, then discard a card. It's a looter. You have to pay for it. Paying for looting sucks. Like, on principle, but you still do it. This card's great. This card's great. People are going to undervalue it, and they're not going to understand why they lose to it. It's very good. I think you can reasonably 6th through 8th pick it, but I think you should highly value this card. Looters are fantastic. 6th through 8th pick for Soothsayer Adept. Up next is Symmetry Sage. Symmetry Sage is a single blue mana for a creature human wizard add-on common. It's no 2 flyer with Magecraft. Target creature you control has base power 2 until end of turn. You're never using this other than to just make this a 2/2 flyer, right? I don't like most of these 1-drops in this format. Could pump fractals, that's true. I'm not picking this card highly. I'm gonna 6th through 8th or wheel this card and hope that by the time it comes around, I know that I actually want it. Because I don't think in the blind, I don't want this. So let's wheel Symmetry Sage. Up next is Teaching of the Archaics. Teaching of the Archaics is 2 and a blue for a sorcery lesson at rare. If an opponent has more cards in hand than you, draw 2 cards. Draw 3 cards instead if that opponent has at least 4 or more cards than you. Or pay 3 and do nothing. This is an F. Yeah, yeah, or just not play it. I assume you're not as pessimistic as me, and you mean don't cast it. But I mean don't put it in your deck. Maybe you are as pessimistic as me, and you mean don't put it in your deck. Yeah, I don't want to play this. This is an F. This is an absolute F. Like, if you're in a situation where you don't cast this because your opponent does not have fewer cards than you, they are likely to always have fewer cards than you. Limited is a game in which both players eventually have their deck shrink to nothing. Yes, you put it in, yes, it's a lesson. So you put it in your sideboard, you fetch it if it's relevant. That's true. I'm wheeling this card. Again, these are lessons. Most of these lessons I don't want to waste a real pick on. Once they come around and they are truly free, cool. Cool. Yeah, so we can go with a wheel. We'll go with a wheel for Teachings of the Archaics, and I'm doubling down on my opinion of these a lot with, like, I don't want to waste real picks on most of these lessons. I want to waste real picks on the learn cards so that I know my lessons will actually do something. Because if I waste my picks on the lessons and everybody else is picking the learns, you don't even get to learn your lessons. And that sounds very bad. Up next is Tempted by the Auric. Yeah, it's a rare. This is the rare in your pack. Up next is Tempted by Auric. Tempted by Auric is 1 blue for a sorcery at rare. For each opponent, gain control of up to 1 target creature or planeswalker that player controls with mana value 3 or less. 4 mana mind control something that's probably crappy. 4 mana is not a ton. You know, mind controlling something is not nothing. Maybe you get to steal a big fractal. Probably not. You might. I'll 6/8 pick this, I guess. I'd have to go like super deep dive on the CMCs to see if maybe this is more of a 4th, 5th pick. But let's go 6th through 8th pick here. Is it the rare though? I thought lessons take up a different slot in the pack. Right. It has been, I need to see a pack opened because it has been like pulling freaking teeth to understand how these packs work. So the packs have a lesson slot, which can be a common, rare, or mythic rare lesson. Where are the uncommons? Are the uncommons not in the slot? Is the article they published just screwed up? Strong possibility of that. However, I have seen people saying that random people in a Discord for Arena have said that the uncommons show up in the uncommon slot, but the commons and the rares show up in the special lesson slot. I need to see a pack open because they have not explained how the packs work, and I don't even know if WotC knows how the pack works anymore. Up next is Test of Talents. Test of Talents is 1 and a blue for an instant at uncommon. Counter target instant or sorcery spell. Search its controller's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that spell and exile them. That player shuffles, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. So negate. So we're not exiling the spell we counter, right? Counter target insert spell, searches graveyard, hand, library, and exile them. Them referring to the ones that we searched up. So yeah, this is a negate, and you probably, unless it was a very scary card, I guess you get to look at their deck. You get to search the stuff, right? And then you can fail to find. So it's a negate, and negate's probably a fractionally bit better in this format than otherwise normally would, which is good because normally it's not good. Yeah, let's go. I think still wheel. And I think I'll main deck a negate in this format. I think I will. We'll find out if I'm wrong or not. So yeah, let's go wheel, and we'll see how it works out. Don't exile their cards and give them free card draw. This is a bad plan. Up next, our final? Nope. How many cards do we got left? A few more cards. Up next is Vortex Runner. Vortex Runner is 2 and a blue for a creature, human, wizard, a common. It's a 2/3. As long as you control 8 or more lands, Vortex Runner gets +1/+0 and cannot be blocked. Cool. They only draw cards if you exile cards. Oh, it's only from their hand? Oh, okay. Don't exile the card from their hand unless it's, well, I guess if it's scary, then you should. This seems fine. Like, it's not great. I think you still just wheel this. But like, especially if I'm Quandrix, especially if I have plans to get to 8 mana, having a 3/3 unblockable? That's not nothing. I like this. I like this a fair bit. I'm going to go 6/8. I'm going to go 6th to 8th pick on this. Give me a set that is creatures like this. No books on them. No ifs, thens, ors, else, thens. No recursive nested statements. Just, here's what the creature does. And sometimes it does this. Up next is Waterfall Aerialist. Waterfall Aerialist is 3 and a blue for a creature, Djinn, wizard, ek common. It's a 3/1 flyer with ward 2. 4 mana, 3/1 flyer is a little pricey. Ward 2 doesn't save it from being blocked and dying, but might save it from removal for a little bit. You could probably wheel these, I think. 4 mana, 3/1 flyer. I think I'd rather wheel a 4 mana 3/1 flyer than 6th through 8th pick. So let's wheel the aerialist. And our final blue card for the day is Wormhole Serpent. Wormhole Serpent is 4 and a blue for a creature serpent at uncommon. It's a 3/5. Pay 3 and a blue. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. Seems solid. 5 mana 3/5, and whatever I want cannot be blocked. This will end games. This is like River Gear Serpent, although I think it can't be blocked, but it was the big thing that couldn't be blocked. I like this quite a bit. I'm gonna 4 mana, 5 mana to cast, 4 mana to activate. I'm gonna 4th, 5th this. And if I ever see it come around, like 6th through 8th, I'm gonna take this as a signal that blue's wide open. So yeah, let's go 4th, 5th on Wormhole Serpent. So that's going to wrap it up for blue YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back with the next video for red. Hang tight, and I'll see you all next time.